Welcome to 3Design. In this video, we cover all the keyboard and mouse commands you need to control your program. Starting with the left mouse button, use the left click to select items. Use the left click to deselect items as well. You can also use left click in the tree to select items. In the toolbar, use the left click to select certain tools. You would also use double left click. Double left click is to edit an item. If I double click the torus, it opens up its properties. The only other time you typically use double left click is in menus. So if I open up like the material menu, you would use a double click to choose an item from the window. Next, we have the right mouse button. It's context sensitive. It depends on what you're doing with it. Mostly it's used for rotating the screen. If I just use the right mouse button held down, I can rotate around the center axis. It's also used for context sensitive menus. If I right click in the empty space, we get a menu for zoom, orientation, last edited. If I right click an item, you'll see the menu changes to zoom on, hide, show, freeze, export, undo, delete, etc. In V9, you also have created on, so you can see the history of the item without going to the history tree. The middle mouse button and wheel is for zooming. Use the wheel to zoom in and out. And then if you press it in as a button, you can get a more fine-tuned or a smoother zoom. The final common behavior we do in 3D is panning the screen. For that, we use a combination of buttons. To do a pan to, point to the area of the screen you want to center on, and then hold right and left mouse button down together. It will center the screen to that point. You can also do a free pan by holding right and middle mouse button down together. Then you can grab the screen and pan it freely. For a keyboard shortcut, hold Shift and Alt, and then just use a regular left click to grab the screen and pan it. When you're panning around and zooming, if you want to get back to the defaults, you can hit the Home button on the top left corner of your compass. A quick note for Mac users. Instead of Control, you'll use the Command key. There's sometimes a Control key as well on a Mac keyboard, but it behaves differently. In videos and tutorials, if you hear Control, use the Command key instead. Whenever you hear the Alt key, you will use Option. Most Mac keyboards have them labeled as both Alt and Option. Finally, the Delete key on a Mac keyboard is actually a backspace option. Pressing the Function key and pressing Delete will make it function as normal delete. Use this in 3Design to delete items. To make multiple selections, you can use the Control or Command key. So select your first item without clicking Control, and then hold down the Control or Command key to add items to the group. You can also use Shift to select multiple items. That's going to select items in a list. You usually do that from the tree instead of in the viewport. So if I select the sphere and then hold Shift and select the cone, it's going to select all the items in that list between the two. Now for some keyboard shortcuts. If you hold the Shift key when you're rotating with the right mouse button, it'll lock the axis in the Z direction. You can also use Alt and right button to draw a marquee or a box, which will allow us to zoom to a specific section of the screen. There are more keyboard shortcuts that use the Control or Command key, and they're for things that are pretty common in programs: new, open, save, etc. If you go to the main menu, you can see those shortcuts in the menus. Control N for new, O for open, etc. Under Edit, you have Control Z for undo, V for paste, etc. Delete for delete, I talked about using the Function key and the Delete on the Mac. And for any of your keys, you can customize your keyboard shortcuts by going to the Tools menu under Customize. Anything that's in those menus can be customized to any keyboard shortcut. Finally, we have the spacebar shortcut. If you highlight an item, hit the spacebar, it will hide the item. You can see the ghost in the tree. Hit it again, it'll freeze the item, and you'll see the snowflake in the tree. And then spacebar one more time will bring it back to show. The item must be selected for that to work. Thanks for watching. Now you have complete control over your 3Design experience.